Welcome back to Cranberry Country Journal, and we're spending some time with Tom Cirignano, the author of The Constant Outsider, Memoirs of a South Boston Mechanic, and those are some great stories, Tom. And I sort of teased the folks a bit. Yeah, sort of an encounter with some of the youths in the neighborhood one time. Youths. Tell us a story.
Yeah, Paul liked this part of the book where I just got my very first job away from the family business. Because I went into the garage with my dad since I was this big on Saturdays and during the summer. But after school, I was free to do what I wanted. So the local drugstore offered me a job as a soda jerk. I mean, back then, 12 years old, you could do things like that. Today, you couldn't even do it, I don't think. But there were some pretty tough kids in the neighborhood that lived close by to where I lived. And they were a little older than I was. So I was in the drugstore, almost closing time. It was dark out. The pharmacist was the only other person there. He was way out in the back room, and he's a character that's interesting in the book too. But anyway, a group of these kids came in to the store, and I don't know if they were high or drunk or what, but they started to just grab everything that was not tied down off the shelves. One came around the counter. I'm standing there guarding the cash register. And like
all 12-year-olds of you, right?
Yeah, well, I might have been 13, 14, but okay. I was certainly not, you know, a big guy. But I noticed one of the kids that was a neighbor of mine behind my house, so I yelled out his name, you know, and I says, "Hey, what are you doing?" You know, and as soon as he knew that I recognized that he lived close by and knew who he was, the guy that was coming behind the counter, he stopped. Just short of coming for the cash. I don't know what I would have done if he came for the cash register. But they left and they grabbed all these racks of food and potato chips and personal items off of the shelves, and they just ran out the door. So the pharmacist comes out and he tells me, you know, when Bernie comes back, he was the owner of the store, he says, "You knew those guys." He says, "You're going to lose your job if you don't go get that stuff back." And this is kind of hard to tell, because it was kind of a long, drawn-out thing. But there was a footbridge over Norfolk Street, on the other side of Norfolk Street in Dorchester. It went over these railroad tracks. I knew that their hangout was under those tracks. So in the dark, like an idiot, we'd never tell a kid to do this today. I went over there, and I could hear the laughter and everything down by the tracks.
You were looking for justice.
Well, I just wanted to get the stuff back because I didn't want to lose my job. And so they weren't up in their normal platform that they had built under the bridge, so I heard them down at the track. I went around there in the dark and I approached them, and it was kind of scary. I threatened them that the cops were going to be down there, their hideout was no longer safe and all this stuff, and if I just brought the stuff back, that nobody would call the cops. And they actually agreed to give me the stuff back, whatever I could carry. I couldn't carry it all.
Were you amazed that they did? Or
well, yeah, you know, I'm coming across the bridge with my potato chips and all this other stuff, and I brought it back. Bernie wouldn't have fired me. He was mad that I went after these kids. But the scary thing about this was, about, I don't know, months after this robbery took place, there was a body found right at that same spot under the footbridge on the tracks, and a train had come by and mutilated this body. And the boys that I confronted were all arrested for murder. Apparently the cops were able to tell that this person was already dead when they laid him on the tracks, and he had been stabbed to death. So, you know, I realized right then and there that could have been me.
It could have been you as well.
Yeah. I was just very lucky to get away from there, and so.
Things you don't think of at the time when you're a kid and growing up, didn't think of the danger involved in that. Yeah. We're speaking with Tom Cirignano. The book is The Constant Outsider, Memoirs of a South Boston Mechanic. We're coming up on time, but there are just so many stories, folks. You've got to read it and learn about Tom crashing his ultralight into the ocean and battling the ocean in his boat. There's some great stories in there. Folks, he's lucky that he's here, and I'm lucky that you're here joining us, too. So, just before we go, just quickly, how did you make the change coming out here to Cranberry Country, to Lakeville?
Well, we have relatives in Lakeville. Our parents were living back here, and we were living in Florida, my wife and I and my son. And we decided to move back after 11 years down there. And it's just a brand new start over, you know, proposition everywhere you go.
A constant outsider.
Yeah, you have to learn how to fit in everywhere you go.
The book is The Constant Outsider. It's available at Amazon.com. Where else can we get a hold of the copy locally?
It's at Something's Brewing.
Yep.
You can order it at Barnes & Noble. If anybody wants a signed copy, they can certainly email me at constantoutsider@AOL.com.
Good.
And I can sign a book and send it off or deliver it to them or whatever.
Tom, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
And get the book, folks. You'll say you read it before it became the movie. I know you truly, truly enjoy it. That's going to conclude this issue of Cranberry Country Journal. Hope you enjoyed the program. We'll be back in a couple of weeks. In the meantime, if you have an idea for a guest, a topic, suggestion, you can give us a call. Well, actually, you can email us, first of all, at cranberrycountry@hotmail.com. Also, check out our website. It's www.cranberrycountry.com. Can't get easier than that. And if you still like to use snail mail, we got you covered. It's Cranberry Country, Post Office Box 1235, Middleborough, Mass. 02346. I'm Paul Lazerovich. Keep that Cranberry Country spirit in your heart, and see you back in a couple of weeks. Bye-bye.